That worked. Years of the corporate world, right? IT taught me very well. When things don't work, you turn it off and turn it back on and cross your fingers, right? So luckily that works for us today. Thank you again for being here. Without any further ado, it's already been delayed. We'll go ahead and get started. Can you just give me maybe just a little signal that you can see my screen? All right. We will get going then. We are screen sharing. We're in full mode. So thank you for being here. Welcome. I want to start by saying I'm not here, to convince anyone. I'm here to help you understand your body a little bit better. And if it feels aligned, there'll certainly be an offer for you at the end. I've sent a worksheet you filled out. It wasn't to identify changes necessarily, but it was there to help bring awareness to what's already happening inside your body. And hopefully this afternoon through this session, we can better connect those dots. Lastly, I just say I am not a doctor, and you should always consult with your doctor when it comes to your health, of course. So first, who am I? I'm Christine. I'm an Italian Irish American born on Staten Island, but really Jersey girl at heart. I'm an avid traveler. I am a wellness junkie and joy spreader. I like to say that. So I hope you feel a little bit of that today. Uh, I was in corporate marketing for the last 20 years. I am a wellness and nutrition coach and recently founded my wellness company. Then I'm also a yoga instructor, very much living the yogic lifestyle, as many of you know. So this is really truly embodied work that I'm going to share with you today. And now at this point in my life and my career, it's really my passion to help high functioning midlife women restore metabolic alignment and ultimately get weight and energy to finally respond again without starving, counting calories, or just guessing. Why I care about this is, of the 20 years that I was in marketing, just a second, somebody's asking for the link, so I just want to make sure I get them there. I was responsible for our class 2 medical device portfolio of products in the healthcare industry in the safety company I worked at. And so my products fell under an FDA regulated environment. So I truly understand how claims are developed and positioned to sell and understand how our body is really designed to function. Also, I lived the high functioning burnout lifestyle, right? And so a lot of lessons learned there. When my body stopped responding, I realized something. We are not taught how metabolism actually works, especially as women in midlife. My wellness journey started young. I was always very active. I ran marathons, urban athlons, CrossFit. You basically put a tire in front of me and I'll flip it. But I struggled with scoliosis. So sporadically, I would have, issues pop up, and all that eventually culminated to a back surgery in my late 20s. I also mentioned I love to travel. I worked for an international organization for 10 years, and so was able to see a lot of the world. And then was married to a Frenchman and traveled back and forth frequently in France. And then my sister lives in London. So through the travels around the world, I was also able to see and taste the difference in the standard American diet. Then there was my sister's cancer and my ultimate burnout. And all of this really showed me is that health is wealth. And if we don't own it, really someone else does. So enough about me though. What are we doing here today? Why are we here, right? Well, you're likely here today because you're doing the right things. You've tried starving, doesn't work. You've doubled down on the cardio, yet you still can't seem to lose maybe this last 5 to 10 pounds of stubborn weight. And you're frustrated. Am I close? The good news, right? This is not about willpower. It's not about age. It's about strategy. So before we go any further, let's level set what most of us have been taught. So this isn't a test. I just want to see what messaging has really been living in your head. So use the chat window if you guys can access the chat here in Zoom. And just type your answer there. We're going to just go through 5 questions. Whatever comes to mind, just type in the chat window. So we'll start. Question 1. True or false? If you want to lose stubborn midlife weight, you should reduce calories and increase cardio. True or false? Type it in the chat. No rush. We have time. Nice. Nice. We'll come back to this. Is not giving away the answers just yet, so we'll come back to this. It's good that we're thinking this way, right? Number 2, multiple choice. What declines first in midlife? A, estrogen, B, metabolism, C, muscle mass, D, willpower. Type what you think is correct in the chat. A, estrogen, B, metabolism, C, muscle mass, D, willpower. What are we thinking on this one? Maybe metabolism? Maybe. Let's hold on to that one too. Interesting decisions, choices. Now, next one. True or false? If the scale isn't moving, you likely need more discipline. True or false? What do we think? What do we think? More discipline to get that scale to move? Maybe. All right. Hold on to that one. Let's go to the next. 4th question, number 4. True or false again? Most healthy packaged foods are designed to stabilize blood sugar. This one might be a thought starter, right? Are they intended to stabilize blood sugar? Is that what they're designed and engineered to do? Maybe, maybe not. Nice. Perfect. Let's continue. Last one, right? True or false? Last one. If you don't change your strategy in midlife, your metabolism stays stable. What do we think? Can we stay consistent throughout life? Will our metabolism stay the same? Will it change? What do we think happens? Yeah, super. So thank you for participating, right? And for seeing or taking the moment just to think through that. This is really helpful to see where we all are coming into this and what our perceptions are, etc. So thank you. Let's continue here. Right. So the goal today is that, we'll get through and clarity around these questions. So if you've really been trying and it's not working, you now know it's not because you're broken, and the strategy is what needs to change. So that's what we're going to go through today. So what is actually happening? Let's go back to the first question. Eat less, do more cardio. Well, that strategy works until it doesn't. And in midlife is usually when it often stops working. And it's not because the body's broken, it's just the body is adapting, right? The body's going through changes. And there are 3 major shifts that start happening as we age. And most of us weren't truly taught how to adjust for them. And so that's where we wind up getting stuck. One of the earliest and most impactful changes with aging is gradual decline in lean muscle mass. And muscle is metabolically active tissue, right? So it's going to play a major role in our resting metabolic rate, in disposing of glucose through the body, and in insulin sensitivity. So think about it. If lean mass declines over time, metabolic efficiency is going to change, because that's a lever that we need for metabolic efficiency to be in place. So this is often why that excessive cardio without any resistance training or protein in the diet can actually work against us. It's not that cardio itself is bad. It's that at this stage in life, muscle preservation becomes a non-negotiable. So if your week is full and you're thinking getting in cardio is working, what it means is that the muscle preservation needs to be the priority over cardio at this stage in life. So, secondly, we know we stop producing estrogen in midlife, but what often matters more on a day-to-day is stress signaling. It has a bigger impact at this point in life. Chronic stress elevates cortisol levels. And during perimenopause and menopause, women are often much more sensitized to cortisol, which is why any stress in the body, it starts to feel very different at this time. And if we're chronically in a state where our cortisol is elevated in any kind of stress state, that's directly correlated to increased fat storage. You can think of your body like a bear going into hibernation is just going to protect. So it's protecting, it's building storage, which is fat. And most of that happens centrally, which most of us refer to as the menopause middle, right? Now, think about this. Undereating is a stressor. Overtraining is also a stressor. Poor sleep is a stressor. Life in general is a stressor. And our bodies do not judge, nor do they differentiate stress. Stress is stress. No matter what type of stress it is, the body responds similarly. So if your solution to stubborn weight has been, let me eat less and work out harder, what we actually might be doing is increasing physiological stress on the body instead of reducing it. Now, that's clearly not a willpower problem because you're getting up, you're moving, you're doing everything, right? So it's not about willpower. It's a signaling problem. It's just that we're trying to do things that aren't working with the body at this stage in life. The last of the major shifts is the insulin sensitivity, which declines with age. So what that means is a blood sugar regulation becomes less efficient. And meaning you're going to have glucose spikes throughout the day. And those kind of large repeated glucose, what they call it, excursions or just releases, is not good for us, right? It's going to lead to that higher insulin output. It's going to increase the fat storage again. You're going to have greater hunger swings. And this is where the energy crashes hit hard. The poor glycemic regulation is also tied to inflammatory markers. So for example, when you say like, I'm tired, I'm puffy, I feel inflamed, these are metabolic symbols. It's beautiful in a way. It's not a personality flaw. It's not a hangry female. This is the body communicating to us, telling us what it actually needs. So here's the part most people aren't told, or maybe we just don't want to hear, right? Without a targeted intervention of some kind or a strategy shift of some kind, lean mass will continue to decline gradually. The insulin sensitivity may decrease, and inflammation is going to increase. Your metabolism is not going to stay frozen, it adapts. So if we keep using the same strategy that we used at 20, 25, even 30, it may no longer produce those same results at 45, 50, 55. It's two different, the body's in two different states at that point. And let's be clear, it's not aging here that's breaking or it's failing us. It's just internal misalignment and strategy misalignment between what we want to do and what our bodies are doing. The truth, you don't need more effort. We've just proven that. The willpower is there. What we need is alignment. Metabolic alignment is the solution. And what does it mean? To be metabolically aligned or metabolically in a good place and metabolically healthy, it means you're preserving and building lean muscle, that your blood sugar is stabilized, you're reducing that chronic stress on the body, and you're fueling appropriately instead of restricting. You're giving the body what it needs. You're creating an environment that supports metabolic efficiency and fat utilization. And it's not about pushing harder, working harder. This is about working smarter. Not on defense, but rather on offense with the body. This is me here. This is me in my 20s at 170 pounds on the left. I was pounding pavement, running marathons, crushing hours in the office, right? You're doing all the things you think you're supposed to be doing. On the right, this is me in my 40s, 130 pounds, much more stable, calmer, and much more enjoying life. And this is just awareness and consistency. The difference wasn't discipline. I clearly had discipline. I was running 26 miles, just for fun, right? This isn't a discipline problem. It was strategy. And here's what's most interesting. I wasn't lazy on the left. I wasn't clueless. I was doing what I had been taught. I'm following the guidance and the advice of what I'm being taught. And it sounds all logical, but just sometimes it's not metabolically precise. And that's when I realized there's something bigger out there. It's not just that our body has changed. The environment that we're in has changed too. The modern food system is not engineered for metabolic stability. It's engineered for shelf stability, for profit margin, for palatability, for repeat purchases. And again, nothing that signals metabolic stability, blood sugar regulation, etc. It doesn't make it evil. That's not what I'm saying here, right? It's just optimized for a different goal. And we want to get aligned on goals and the support that we're putting inside the body and the fuel to get us to our goals. And I have a little bit of some fun with you. But as I mentioned, I spent 10 years in specifically medical device marketing, working under FDA regulation, which is quite stringent. It's class 2 medical device, goes in the body, etc. So I do understand how claims are structured, how language is chosen. So I want to show you something. Take Pepsi. So you see here on the screen, general Pepsi can, kind of generic marketing. It's a long term. They've had this brand, fabulous marketing, right? Now, let's create a new Pepsi. So I'm going to start with a simple black can. Why black? Black is sexy. Black feels premium. Black feels like a good one. Okay. Let's start with a logo. We need a logo, right? We need a Pepsi logo. Now, let's make this unique. What's going to be its unique differentiator? I'm going to call this Pepsi Hydrate Plus. And the reason I'm calling it Hydrate Plus is because, the main ingredient, of course, is carbonated water. So hydration, right? Plus, I don't know, it could be anything. Extra flavor or plus something, whatever you want to call it. We'll just go with plus. Sounds good, right? We'll add, it's naturally flavored because, well, it is. It's 100% plant-based water, right? Now, we'll recognize it and recategorize it as a premium sparkling cola. And again, main ingredient is always water. Now, just for fun, let's add smooth taste, clean energy at the top. And why not include all the fun labels? Fat-free, gluten-free, and low sodium. And now, just because I'm in marketing, let's slap a sexy little wave on there, give it some color. Now, every one of those claims is legally accurate and can go on a can, but it's still completely metabolically misleading. You probably see that. Question is, would you buy the black can? Would you believe that that black can on the right is healthier than the one you see on the left? This is how messaging works. This is how it works. This is how it's done. This is what's in our supermarkets. This is in the aisles, right? Another example, a real one. I have a love for peanut butter, so I'll just share that. And in my household growing up, it was a Skippy house. And back then you were either Skippy or Jif, and you're basically loyal to one of these two. At some point later in my teen years, Skippy Natural came out, and I switched to that. And it was great, sounded good, natural, Good decision, right? Seemed like a no-brainer. Then my first job had me working in Florida for long periods of time. And so I would need to go food shopping. And that's when I discovered Publix supermarket. And then Publix had a peanut butter in their deli aisles. So it was one of my first shifts, excuse me, and one of the first labels that I truly started to understand. So Skippy, original Skippy, has 5 ingredients. You know, peanuts, good ingredient. Sugar and a bunch of oils, seed oils, and that are not really that healthy for you, and some salt. Okay. Then I go to Skippy Natural and I think, of course, this has to be better. Well, what did they really do? They just took all the oils, combined it into one palm oil, because at the time there was a big push by the palm oil group to push that. So that's obviously what's happening at the times. And that's what we see. Roasted peanuts, we don't know what they're roasted in. And then it's Publix, one ingredient. Unsalted, dry, roasted peanuts, no fancy claims, no marketing, just a price tag. And you see many meal plans and trend diets focused on macros or calories, but they're really ignoring in the ingredients. And the ingredients are what drive inflammation and blood sugar responses. This is also why a lot of people do well initially on these very structured plans, but then usually hit a wall because these plans are training the body to respond to engineered input and not natural, real food, real nutrients and ingredients you would get from whole foods. So over time, metabolism adapts, but weight loss is going to slow. Your cravings will increase and your energy is just going to dip. And we assume, again, that it's back on us, that it's a willpower issue, but it's not. It's just physiology. It's really your body protecting you from some of the things that it's not intended to be inside the body. In the past 20 to 30 years, this is the big shift that we see in the American food supply. Ultra processed foods dominate shelves now, which means you have more refined carbs, you have more engineered hyperpalatability, you have longer shelf stability, more additives for texture, for taste, for shelf life. You have higher glycemic food and load on the body, and just increased inflammation and inflammatory exposure all around. At the same time, in the last 20 to 30 years of the rise of ultra processed foods, you can also see the rate of metabolic dysfunction has risen dramatically. Today, there are only 12% of American adults are considered metabolically healthy. I don't think that's a coincidence. To be fair, I do not believe in coincidences, but it is a business. And so the more we understand that, the more we can be empowered to make better decisions for us and to support our goals. Because ultimately, when refined, hyperpalatable foods meet with a reduced insulin sensitive woman in midlife, you have metabolic stress compounding. And generally, this leads right to disease. We don't want this. And the bottom line is the food we ate 20 years ago is not the same food we're eating today. And I want to make sure I'm clear. I'm not an anti-food or diet industry person. I just want you to understand it and be knowledgeable enough to make decisions based on knowledge, not on marketing claims. So here's what's happening. You eat healthy, what you think is healthy. Your blood sugar spikes. You feel puffy, inflamed. You feel tired. So what do? You work out harder. You eat less. You increase stress, not intentionally, but because of these things, you're increasing stress. And then you sleep less. Your cortisol is rising. It's that repeated increase of cortisol, and the cycle is just going to continue to repeat. But again, it's not a discipline issue. This is the metabolic misalignment. And so if midlife physiology changes, if the food environment has changed, and if the old strategy increases stress instead of reducing it, then what actually works, right? How do we fix this? We're not here for doomsday, Christine. We're here to understand how do we fix it, right? The fix is metabolic alignment. And you can't out diet stress. We can't out cardio muscle loss, and we can't hold on to blood sugar instability. Metabolic alignment requires these three pillars to be working together. If one is missing, the system destabilizes. So let's break this down. Pillar one. This is not about eating less, as we said. It's about eating in a way that preserves that lean muscle, that stabilizes blood sugar, that can reduce the inflammatory load, support hormonal signaling. And how do we do this? Balanced whole food meals. So protein is always the anchor. There has to be fiber, strategic carbohydrates. There has to be a little fat. Your body needs the 4 portions in every meal for it to work most efficiently. And it works. It's proven. It works. It's learning to build a plate that fuels your system instead of restricting the system and having it stay in constant stress. Because when we start fueling correctly, then the body stops defense mode and can be more on your team, which is on offense, working together. Pillar 2, in midlife movement, has a new priority. As we said, it's preserving and building lean muscle. So it means resistance training, even just a band, whatever you can, getting a band, or real weightlifting, building muscles. So it's not about punishment cardio. It's not all burnout workouts and things of that nature. It's building your body to be supportive so that insulin sensitivity can improve, so that the metabolic rate is supported. Your body can shift. Your cardio then becomes supportive, but it's no longer the dominant. This pillar really shows us that more isn't better, that alignment and aligned ways are better. And lastly, we cannot ignore stress physiology. And like I mentioned earlier, stress is stress on the body. So it doesn't necessarily differentiate, it doesn't judge, but we need to regulate it. As mentioned, the chronic stress will impact cortisol, sleep, your blood sugar, your overall recovery, and ultimately, your hormones. And we want to better balance our hormones and support the hormones. So what can we do? Things like breathing, sleep hygiene, recovery days, meditation, even if that's something you're interested in your practice. There's that nervous system regulation that we need more of. And these really aren't woo-hoo things. Some of us as yogis here on the line, but these aren't woo. They're scientifically now backed and documented. It's metabolic, it's physiology. So let's lower the stress and make the body more metabolically efficient. Now, the issue is most women focus on one pillar, like diet harder, or you try exercising more, or maybe try to meditate once in a while. But without all three in some form of consistency, the system compensates, and then compensation feels like nothing's working and is often when that frustration comes into play. But when all three are aligned, the system is beautiful. When the nutrition is stabilizing your blood sugar, when your movement is preserving muscle, and when your stress is overall regulated, that's when the body shifts. It can come out of defensive mode and comes into efficiency mode. And ultimately, when stubborn weight starts to move, when inflammation drops, and when your energy finally stabilizes. Here's the truth, though. Most women don't fail because they lack information. In fact, most of the time, it's an overload of information. And most women fail because they don't have that structured system and accountability and to help simplify and implement change. You can understand muscle, we can understand blood sugar. we can understand the concept of stress regulation. But then translating that into everyday life is usually where things tend to fall apart, or where we start to lose maybe hope and start to kind of let go. So let's start simple. If muscle preservation is foundational and blood sugar stability matters, and stress signaling increases with restriction, then let's start simple, right? The simplest shift we can make is anchor every meal in protein. And when we're not talking snack bars and kind of guessing, is this a protein? Is this enough protein? If you have to ask the question, if you have to guess, it's likely not enough, or it's likely not a high quality. So you really want a clean, high quality protein source at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, especially at breakfast. I know as women, we tend to skip breakfast most often, but it really is going to start your whole metabolism for the day. So getting a full rounded breakfast will really change the way that your body responds the rest of your day. So think about that. Maybe think about how you can implement. Now, protein, again, we do this because it's going to support the lean mass. It's going to slow the glucose. It's going to help you feel full and stabilize your energy. Now, if it helps, I have a really simple portion guide that shows what this looks like on a plate if you need a visual. It's not about tracking, measuring. It's just a place to start. There's some options in there around what types of protein you can get, even if you're a vegan, etc. And think about it as a starting tool, not necessarily the whole system yet, right? Because we talked about the 3 components of the system. So this is a good starting point, because this alone won't create that full metabolic alignment, but it is a really strong first move. And if you want the full structure, that's why I built my signature program. And I call this framework the metabolic alignment method. And I teach it inside my 6-week Better You high touch coaching program. And it's designed specifically for midlife women who want to restore that metabolic alignment. We focus on strategic fueling, heart rate and strength-based movement. So again, we're working smarter, not harder. We focus on stress regulation, and then you have real accountability and real structure. This isn't about trends, detoxes, what an influencer is recommending. This is foundational health and wellness at its core, and it's tried and true and really ancient. This is the foundation of health, science backed. It's not designed for someone looking for a quick fix. It's not a trend. It's not a quick lose 10 pounds by the weekend. That certainly is an option out there. There are plenty of those, but this is more of a program for someone who's really ready to lead herself. The program is 7 weeks in total. Week 0, I call week 0. It's really our onboarding and baseline week. It's when we get you your equipment delivered to your home. You get set up in the app and set up on the Bluetooth connection, etc. We have some calls. We establish your baseline, and we get clear on your current patterns where you are. Then over 6 weeks, I implement the 3 pillars with you in a very structured way. So you're not guessing, you're not Googling, you're not trying to piece these things together. You're simply here in the program executing a system. And when we execute the system, the body responds. This is proven. We've had many women go through the experience. More importantly, we've had them come on the other side feeling better. Their energy is steadier, inflammation calmer, more empowered, and just feel stronger. And these weren't, extreme stories, and these aren't women who needed more discipline. Again, these are high functioning women who can get a lot done in a day and don't have any issues with getting things done. That's not the problem. But they needed clarity. They needed consistency and support. The foundation is in the program, right? The ultimate goal is you find your new rhythm and you find your new way forward. You will lose weight, you will feel more energized, and overall, you'll have a better outlook on your wellness and understanding. The investment is $17.50, and payment plans are available. We can always discuss that, of course, on a one-to-one. In addition, today, I'm excited to share with you that I have a special bonus for those interested and enroll by Sunday night, this Sunday. Oh, it says March. I have no idea why it says March. Clearly, I'm just a little bit anxious to get started in the new year, since today is the year, yesterday was officially the year of the horse, the Lunar New Year. But no, it's February 22nd. I'll fix that. So if you enroll by this Sunday, February 22nd, I'm offering a $150 discount off the program cost, as well as a private 30-minute baseline call. Now, this is different than a discovery call where we just talk about generally what are you looking for. This is really to get a little bit more in depth on where you are with metabolic health in particular. And so we could do a little bit more. I will send you some pre-work for that as well. But this offer I have live for you until Sunday night, so just about 4 days. And again, we're in the year of the horse, the fire horse. It's a year of action. So this bonus is here if you're feeling that desire, if you're feeling that need to take some action. Important dates coming up, just mentioned, February 22nd, that's this Sunday. Enrollment bonus period will end. Enrollment is open until March 1st, which is the following Sunday. So we do have all next week to, if you want to have any questions or want to talk one-to-one. And then we begin onboarding Monday, March 2nd, and jump right into coaching on March 9th. So you'll be ready, everybody on the same page, group energy in the app. And just so you know, the cohort is also capped. So I want to be able to coach everyone on an individual business. This is not intended to be a large group. It will be capped at 10 participants. So first of all, thank you for listening so much here and for participating. And I hope you find a lot of this useful. This next step here, this is usually a moment where we pause and then hopefully we don't stall. So you have an option here, right? We can keep tweaking what we're doing or try to implement a structured system designed for our midlife physiology. We can think about this moment as, waiting doesn't necessarily heal or help anything. It just kind of keeps you in that moment where you are now. So if this has resonated with you, if you felt seen, if you recognize yourself in this and anything I shared today, then this is your next step. And I would really love to coach you. With that said, I do want you all to be metabolically in line, most importantly. So with that said, ladies, we have about 15 minutes left. So wow, just good timing for us here. Right on time. If you're considering joining or just have anything on your mind, this is the time to ask what you need to feel clear or just want to chat about a specific topic. Let me know. Floor is open. Oh, I have the chat. I apologize. Let me just take a quick chat. All right. Wonderful. Thank you, Denise, and thank you, Ellen. You're all wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, I know that something, there was a couple of comments that came before. And so for those who might catch the recording, I think we'll just mention a little bit of some of the questions that you had submitted. Some of you had submitted before at your registration. So one of them was around cravings, how to better manage cravings, etc. The interesting thing with cravings are, cravings are your body's way of talking to us. They're usually are representing what the body needs. So it's good not to ignore them, but sometimes we translate them differently or directly. Let me go through a few as an example. Say, for example, you're craving chocolate. Could be a magnesium deficiency. Chocolate in itself, not just sweets, but chocolate in particular. If I'm just strong craving for chocolate, could be a signal of a magnesium. So go for dark chocolate because it'll have your most magnesium packed, or a banana can help. Let's say, for example, you have a craving of French fries. I just want to eat a whole plate of French fries right now. Usually that's signaling a sodium need. And so try sunflower seeds or coconut water, which is going to be much more with extra electrolytes and help rebuild your sodium deficiency. And maybe just one more, but like say if you have a craving for cookies, yes, it's what you think. You know, you have a craving for sugar, for glucose. There's this craving for glucose, but really a good solution for that is vegetables. They'll give you a lot more stability and they'll support your metabolic health without sending your body into a complete sugar high if you eat the cookies. So the cravings are good. They're a signal. So we want to acknowledge that. Thank you to the body. You're giving us a signal. And then better understand what the cravings mean and see if we can eat or add things to our diet in that moment that might help. Let's just check for any other questions here. I'll read one more here, which was a few of you mentioned poor sleep, and hopefully this session here today will address what is driving that poor sleep. It's likely if we are under eating and over exerting ourselves all day long, and the body doesn't have the chance to get into a rested state, it's just constantly on defense. So the more that we can, the body's going through changes, so it's already in this state of change, especially at midlife. We're going through the perimenopause and the menopause, and our hormones are shifting. So that's the real reason for the poor sleep. What we can do about it is try to get our minds to relax, the stress regulated, so that we give our body the chance to get into a deep sleep. We need to calm the nervous system. We need to give it a signal that says it's safe, it's okay to rest. A lot of us have been taught that it's not a good thing to rest, to keep going. But yeah, the body actually needs it. And if we're losing sleep, it's probably saying it actually needs it a lot more. Something to try is like before you go to sleep, put your legs up the wall or do some breathing exercises, for example. Well, those were just some of the comments that came in before the webinar. So I'll thank you for those comments, and hopefully we got to answer them here today for you live. If not, of course, we can always follow up in email. And if there are no other questions, we will then wrap up today's webinar. If there's a few things on your mind, I just want to kind of maybe take a moment here to say if this is something you're thinking about on the fence, that's totally fair. Take your time, of course, but think about what you really want to think through. Usually it's time, it's money, it's fear of failing again. But the only thing you really need to consider right now, if you really want to solve this year, is whether you want to start now or a little bit later. Okay. With that said, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this session. I hope you found it useful and informative. And I look forward to following up with you from this session. Please let me know if you have any questions following up. And hopefully I will see you in the March 2nd container. I look forward to it. Thank you so much for joining. Talk to you soon.